Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to this episode of Not Your Average Tea Time. I'm your host, Tabari. I'm joined by Christian, and just off air here, we was talking about former New York Jet legend Matt Forte. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know this. He played at Tulane, and I bet you out there listening didn't know either. But yeah, yeah,
That's right, man. Green wave, baby. Green wave.
yeah. I don't even know what that means. Is that some what the new kids are saying these days?
That's their that's their thing. You know
Is there like slogan or something?
that it's actually their like yeah, it's their team name, the Tulane Green Wave.
Oh, that's their name. Oh. All right, learn something new about Tulane and football every day. Speaking of football, we got a lot of ball to talk about today, Christian. First off, we'll start about with the game right now that's happening. We got Carolina facing the Texans, and Carolina looks like they're about to pour it on them, even though it's 7-0 in the first here. What have you been seeing from Sam Darnold and the Panthers that makes you think that maybe you don't think it that he can turn it around, and he has turned it around from his fabulous time with the New York Jets?
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously being in the group chat tomorrow, I think this is like a match made in heaven. Sam Darnold, Matt Rule. I mean, it was almost, or according to reports, we think this was almost a match that was made in New York with the Jets a few years ago, but they weren't totally able to get the deal done. Then he went to Matt Rule went to Carolina and had an interview there, and they just would not let him leave the building, and then he's the Carolina Panthers' next head coach, and now a year later he gets Sam Darnold in a trade with the New York Jets, and first 2 weeks looks like a totally different quarterback than he did with the New York Jets, and I think a big reason why is because of the pieces surrounded around him, the wide receivers, of course, another former New York Jet and Robbie Anderson to go along with DJ Moore, and uh, obviously the man that makes it all happen on the offense for the Panthers, Christian McCaffrey, now back and healthy, having a good start to his season. It really does look like a rejuvenated quarterback, a different quarterback Carolina Panthers have in Sam Darnold than what the New York Jets had, and I think that's just because of the effort and really what they've done surrounding Sam Darnold with talent. I feel like, and I've said this before, I feel like the Jets have already made more of a effort in surrounding Zach Wilson with talent and better players and doing what's best for him already than what they've done in the past for Sam Darnold. And I think we've already seen that now in the first two games and what half a quarter of football that we've seen out of Sam Darnold as a Carolina Panther.
Yeah, the Jets definitely surrounded Zach Wilson better than they did Sam Darnold. But, everybody's comparing right now because it's been 2 games. That's what people do. But they're saying that the Jets made the wrong decision. They should have traded the number 2 overall pick for King's ransom and kept Sam Darnold. But the thing
I do
about
think
it
it's too
is,
early for that. I do think it's too early for that.
it's way too early for that. And the thing is, like, Sam Darnold wouldn't have looked like this in New York. Let's just be honest. Because Joe Brady is pretty good. Matt Rule is pretty good. That's why they wanted both of them, and they interviewed both of them at one point. They ultimately, I think, decided to go with Adam Gase. So just kind of makes me wonder about the decision makers, but I will say Joe Douglas was not there at that time, so I can't fault him too much for this. But speaking of the Jets, Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions against the Patriots. Do you think that it was just a bad game, or do you think that he should probably be concerned going up against the Denver Broncos defense coming up this week?
So I do think there should be some concern just because of the defensive mind that is Vic Fangio, the head coach of the Denver Broncos. But I think zoom out and look at Zach Wilson and the New York Jets and realize that he was going up against a Bill Belichick-led Patriots defense. And not too many rookies have success against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. So I do think that, yes, the 4 interceptions, it was awful to see. You don't want to see it, and I'm not going to say you expected to see it. I did expect to see the Patriots kind of take advantage and have their way with Zach Wilson. I didn't see 4 interceptions coming, but it is a Bill Belichick-led defense. He is one of the greatest minds, arguably the greatest football mind, greatest football coach in NFL history. So I won't say that, it came out of nowhere. I expected the Patriots to win that game. I expected the Patriots to kind of have their way with Zach Wilson in that game. But, again, it was Zach Wilson's second NFL game, second game as a professional football player, and it's going to be another tough matchup this week against the Denver Broncos. And Vic Fangio, while I'm not going to predict another 4-interception performance out of Zach Wilson, I do think it's going to be another very tough day for Zach Wilson and the Jets offense. And as you know, Tabario, I mean, not every one of those interceptions were Zach Wilson's fault. I mean, Corey Davis, you got to help your young rookie quarterback out, in some plays. And, you got to win some of those jump ball or those one-on-one instances where your quarterback's giving you an opportunity to win that matchup. So, the 4 interceptions are under his stat line, but were all for his fault? Not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think all 4 of them was his fault. I think that so a lot of people have been going back and putting out the all 22, and I kind of live for it right now. But there was one play where Zach had Braxton Berrios wide open, but he could not throw him the ball and get it to him because Greg Van Roten, former Carolina Panther, got beat like a drum. And when that's the case, these kind of performances are expected. So it's going to be something to watch out for against Denver. They're down Bradley Chubb. He will not be playing, but Von Miller's still going to be back there terrorizing people. They have your boy Kyle Fuller on one side and Patrick Surtain the second on the other, their rookie draft pick. And I just got to say, I feel like Zach Wilson's going to throw an interception, at least one this game. But I think he bounces back and gets 2 touchdowns. He's going to get that 2-1 thing. So, and
will Elijah Moore be on the receiving end of either one of those?
I think so. Like every week we see more. Like first week it was -3 yards for 1 catch. This week he had 43 yards and he did better. He almost did better. He's 4 yards shy of beating your boy Jalen Waddle. So, and Jalen Waddle's in trouble, especially if Tua misses a lot of time. I'm just gonna put that out there. So Elijah Moore, I think this is the week he gets his first touchdown. He has some opportunities against the Patriots that Zach Wilson just missed. So we're just looking for a bounce back game from Zach, and I think that we'll get it for sure.
Does the rushing attack concern you at all? I mean, again, as somebody that is not a Jets fan and probably absolutely doesn't follow the team as closely as you do, I see that as being kind of the downfall, at least for this offense. I know Mekhi Becton being hurt obviously is a huge hit to the offensive line. But I think the rushing attack, and although I do know they were a little bit better this week against the Patriots than they were week 1 against the Carolina Panthers, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. Tevin Coleman, I know you got the rookie, Michael Carter, who I think is going to be a player one day. I'm just not sure how soon that might be. I don't know if there's necessarily enough there, especially for a rookie quarterback like Zach Wilson, to rely on the rushing attack with a Tevin Coleman and a rookie in Michael Carter for at least Zach Wilson to feel comfortable with from the get-go.
I'm glad you mentioned that because week 1, a lot of the rookies had bad games because they didn't have any experience, right? Like Elijah Moore didn't play at all in the preseason. He was coming off a hamstring injury. Elijah Vera Tucker had a pec injury, and he didn't play at all in the preseason, lost a lot of practice time. Well, coming into game 2 against the Patriots, one thing that the Jets had a strong emphasis on was running the ball, and it paid some dividends. They had 150 yards from Michael Carter, Tevin Coleman, Zach Wilson, and I know I'm missing somebody. Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson is his name. So they had 150 yards from the 4 guys, and I think the Jets would love that, but I know they left some yards on the table. A big reason why they were able to run the ball effectively was because Morgan Moses was fantastic on the right tackle side. Elijah Vera Tucker had a wonderful bounce-back game in the run game, but he struggled a little bit in pass protection. I think he's still learning how to put it all together. but he's going to be all right. So Michael Carter, he didn't score a touchdown or anything like that, but he fought hard. He really earned the coach's respect, and I think that coming up in Game 3 against Denver, he's going to get a lot more touches and opportunities to be the Jets' leading back because he made some cuts. He made some people miss, just juked their soul out of them. So I think Michael Carter is going to be okay.
That's promising to hear because I liked him and Javonte Williams, the rookie for Denver. They were both teammates at North Carolina, and so that's good. That's good to hear. Because I mean, as much as I love Tevin Coleman, and I always root for the hometown guys. He's from Chicago, Oak Park. I think his role, like he had in Atlanta, as kind of like the 1B type of running back along with Devontae Freeman. The year they went to the Super Bowl, had a really big impact on the offense. I think that's probably as good as it gets for Tevin Coleman in terms of success. So I think that would be best for both Tevin Coleman and probably the Jets in general as well, to pair him up with Michael Carter and both, go 1A and 1B, kind of share the load in the backfield.
Yeah, so there was asking beat reporters, what's up with Tevin Coleman? Why is he getting the load? And they just said, Tevin Coleman's okay. He's okay. He looks fine in training camp. He's not hurt or anything like that.
That's just who he is.
It's just who he is. He's not going to break yards and get extra yards. Once he gets tackled, he's going down. So that's just his style of play. So it's not anything flashy, but it's reliable. So,
yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I've come back down to earth when it comes to the Jets and how successful they're going to be. As you know, I may not know, my father-in-law is a Broncos fan, so I was hoping that the Jets will be able to beat them, but they look really good. They're 2-0 right now, so here's to hoping that the Jets make it competitive and they lose 17-21.
Now, home field advantage in Denver is different. They're on the road at Denver, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so yeah, that makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, Zach Wilson talked about that today. He said, at BYU, all I played was in the mountain time, so I'm used to that elevation.
That's true.
He was like, so I'm used to it, and, we'll see how used to it he really is, but I think the running backs are definitely going to get just a rotation of – oh, great throw, Sam Darnold. They're going to get a rotation of carries in the game. Yeah, it's real life happening here. He just it was a duck. It was not a good throw. I was being sarcastic. But, yeah, I think it'll be a good game. But let's move on to – here's a question for you. What's the one game you're going to try to watch or catch highlights of that isn't the Bears?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'll tell you what, that Rams and Tampa Bay Buccaneers game looks really good. That's probably a game I'm really eager to watch. I mean, you got two teams that are probably the top two contenders out of the NFC going head to head early on in the regular season. You got Tom Brady still looking like he's playing the best football of his career, going against Matt Stafford, who everybody talks about the potential and how great of a player he could be and how great of a player he is. Now we kind of get to realize it now with him outside of Detroit, now in LA with the Rams, with Sean McVay and the offensive pieces they have there. Cooper Kupp off to a fire start to the season. So I think that's probably the matchup of the week right there, is the Tampa Bay Bucks taking on the Los Angeles Rams. First two games of the season, Rob Gronkowski has scored 2 touchdowns in each of those games. So, I mean, for somebody who came out of retirement last year, had a big impact in the Super Bowl, and has gotten off to a hot start this year, it'll be interesting to see how those Rams linebackers try and take care of business with him. And of course, the Bucks offense in general, because like I said, Tom Brady has just gotten off to a really hot start. I think over 600 yards and 9 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions in just 2 games. So it looks like Tom Brady continues to turn back the clock. And then the fact that you got Matthew Stafford now kind of outside of Detroit, where we always knew he was a good player. Yeah, Pro Bowl quarterback, but now it's like playing in LA, playing with the Rams and that type of team with that type of defense with Aaron Donald and of course Jalen Ramsey. It looks like this is his best opportunity to get to the Super Bowl and possibly win one this year. We'll see. I mean, Sean McVay has gotten to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff at quarterback. We'll see if he can do it this year or next year. We'll see with Matt Stafford at quarterback. So I think that matchup this week for me, besides Justin Fields making his first career start against the Cleveland Browns, of course, that matchup is must see TV.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll tell you my must-see matchup. Stick around. All right, and we're back. So the team that I'm looking forward to watching the most, or the game, the matchup, there's a bunch of good ones this week. I could have went with Titans-Colts. I think that has potential to be a good matchup if Carson Wentz plays. Then you
I don't know, man. Two sprained ankles. I've never seen that before.
I've never in my life heard of that. Dude is Mr. Glass, and I'm the Carson Wentz apologist. So I don't. Yeah. So then we got Saints versus Patriots. I think that one has the making to be a pretty good game. Bills Washington should be a good scrap.
Mm-hmm.
You already talked about the Bucks and the Rams. The Vikings Seahawks, that's always a good matchup. But the game I'm going to go with is the Chiefs versus the Chargers. Can your boy Justin Herbert take the next step and actually beat Patrick Mahomes? We saw Lamar Jackson finally do it last Sunday night, but is Justin Herbert going to be one of those quarterbacks who can go toe for toe with Patrick Mahomes?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, he had his opportunities to take down Dak last week, man, and he did his thing. They should have had I think it was a 23-17 lead with less than 2 minutes remaining in that game. If the offense, man, I mean, the offensive line is in particular. I think they had 13 penalties. The offensive line alone. I mean, it literally seemed like, and the Cowboys had their fair share of penalties as well, but it literally seemed like every offensive series that the Chargers were out on the field last week against the Dallas Cowboys, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 flags on the offense. And I mean, there were multiple flags that took away like 30-yard gains. I mean, I was watching it, and you're thinking, all right, here comes Justin Herbert. He's leading this team down the field, 30-yard reception, just Keenan Allen, and then it comes right back. And I mean, there were so many on crucial third downs as well that just set this team back, and somehow they were able to find their way back in the game in the second half. And at the end of it, man, Greg Zuerlein was able to make up for his huge Week 1 mishap against the Tampa Bay Bucks, and he hit the game-winning, I think it was a 53 or a 56-yard field goal to defeat the Chargers. So I mean, they're going to be hungry. I'm sure they're going to be ready to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, but this is the Kansas City Chiefs that we're talking about.
Yeah,
coming off of a loss as well on primetime television. So I agree with you. It is going to be a great game. It probably is number 2 on my list behind that Rams and Buccaneers matchup. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you got both of these young, talented quarterbacks coming off of a loss. We'll see who comes out with the victory.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against the Chiefs, but at the same time, you want to see young guys make that jump. And so even if it's in a loss, hopefully Herbert plays well and they clean up those penalties, because you can't win when you're the most penalized team in the league. Axe the Jets last year. But, yeah, so moving on. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Bears have decided that Justin Fields is going to get his first start due to Andy Dalton having a knee injury. It's going to be Fields over Nick Foles. This is, I guess, the moment that pretty much everybody's been waiting for. Justin Fields, me, you, Travis, the city of Chicago, the city of Atlanta. I don't think I've ever seen this much hype about a quarterback getting his first start. So, how excited are you? What are you expecting? Do you think that if he comes out and he actually plays well, that once Andy Dalton is healthy, they can actually go back to Andy Dalton?
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget probably the state of Ohio. I mean,
Yeah,
you mentioned the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I think of the Ohio State Buckeyes as the number one football team in the state of Ohio, and of course, that's where Justin Fields spent two of his collegiate years there at Ohio State. Making the college football playoffs, being a Heisman Trophy finalist, and now here he is making his first career start against the Cleveland Browns on the road. Um, I mean, this is kind of just like destiny. He gets his. I mean, he didn't make the start last week against the Bengals, but comes in and does just enough. Didn't play great, but does just enough to help the Bears come out with a victory. And then, now this week he's playing against the Cleveland Browns. Some who think that could be a legit Super Bowl contender. We'll see. They've been banged up with injuries. No Jarvis Landry this week. It looks like they're going to get Odell Beckham Jr. back this week. But to answer your question, Tabari, I mean, if Justin Fields comes out here and plays similar to how we've seen in the preseason, I'll say, doesn't have to play great, but what we've seen in the preseason, he was clearly better than Andy Dalton. If he does just that, and I'll say this: as soon as he came into the game against Cincinnati last week, not to drag on Andy Dalton, you just seen a certain excitement that you've seen similarly to what we've seen in the preseason.
it had
Whether
energy,
it was
right?
exactly. Not only on the offensive side of the ball either, the defensive side of the ball as well. I mean, last week we seen the defensive side of the football pick off Joe Burrow not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. 3 Joe Burrow passes in a row went for interceptions.
That's ridiculous.
And I'm not saying that was all just because they threw Andy Dalton in because Andy Dalton or Justin Fields, because they threw Justin Fields in because Andy Dalton got hurt. I'm not saying that, but there's just a different type of energy when I feel like when the team knows that they have somebody special at the quarterback position that, hey, if we get the offense back the ball, this guy, who knows what he can do with the football. Where I don't know if you could say that about Andy Dalton, and he got off to a great start against Cincinnati last week.
Yeah,
but
but
But no,
it's
if Justin Fields if he plays anywhere close to what he did in the preseason, and you decide to put Andy Dalton back in there when he is healthy, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, I think you're doing a disservice not only to Justin Fields but really the future of the franchise.
yeah, disservice indeed, and I think that the Justin Fields situation reminds me an awful lot of the Brock Osweiler and Deshaun Watson situation. I don't know if Brock Osweiler got hurt, but they tried to do everything they can to keep Deshaun Watson from playing, but he was just too
Mm-hmm.
special. And even in practice, there's reports that come out saying that, Justin Fields makes some amazing throws, just some incredible throws that these wide receivers, tight ends, coaches haven't ever seen before. So I think that he's going to struggle, and I think that's just part of the game. But when he makes the wild throws like that throw he threw to Allen Robinson on the left side of the end zone, but Allen Robinson dropped it.
Man,
It's gonna be when he makes throws like that, you're gonna say Andy Dalton can't make that throw.
yep. And I mean, there was a drop pass also from Darnell Mooney, who, it was going to be a tough catch to come down with. I mean, Mooney only got one hand on it, but I mean, what do wide receivers say all the time? Hey, if I got one hand on it, or if I touch the ball, then I should come down with it. And I think that was the instance there. And yeah, I mean, just to go back to that what should have been a touchdown throw to Allen Robinson. I mean, and this is a guy that has caught touchdown passes from Blake Bortles, Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles. I mean, Andy Dalton that same day. I mean, you tell me one of those guys throw that ball, he's coming down with it somehow. But Justin Fields throws the ball, and he drops it. I mean, oh man. Uh, I'll tell you this: a lot of people are kind of beating up Justin Fields for his performance against the Cincinnati Bengals. But I'll tell you what: if Allen Robinson hauls in that pass that should have been a touchdown, he should have caught it. I'm sure Allen Robinson would tell you the same thing. If Allen Robinson catches that pass,
It's
I'm
a
sure
whole
that next
different conversation.
exactly.
It's a
I'm
whole
sure that
different
next possession
conversation.
they're just running the football, and Justin Fields doesn't get the opportunity to throw the ball where he doesn't get baited into the linebacker who drops back and intercepts him. Where again, lesson learned, or hopefully lesson learned. He should have known, or he should have seen that linebacker before he threw the ball, drop back, but he didn't.
He gave an
Again, rookie mistakes, but again, if Allen Robinson catches that touchdown, they're probably running the football there, and instead of having a 60 whatever it was quarterback rating, he'd probably have a over 100 quarterback rating, and the narrative would be a little bit different right now.
Yeah, he gave an what I thought was an excellent explanation for that interception too. He said something like they gave cover 0, and then at the last minute the linebacker dropped back. He's like, I should have seen it. I shouldn't have threw it. But I'm gonna learn from that and try not to make that mistake again. So his press conferences are impressive. Zach Wilson's press conferences are impressive.
And I was just about to say that, dude. I was just about to say that. I mean, he met with the media yesterday after Matt Nagy announced that he was going to be the starting quarterback this week against Cleveland. And, they asked him, like, how are you just answering these questions, just so even keel, so calm? And how are you so calm for this opportunity? Yeah, you've played, an NFL game last week. You've played in the preseason. But now here you are. You're preparing as a starter. You're going to be playing an entire game as the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. How are you able to be so even keel? And he said that this dates back to high school, his sophomore year of high school. He would be so nervous his freshman year that he felt that it really impacted his game. So he kind of just learned to just calm down, take it play by play, and do what you can. And I think ultimately he knows that he's the best player out there. I'll say that he knows that he has the ability to be the best player out there, and he knows that this is going to be his job not only for this year, but hopefully for 10, 15 years down the road.
Yeah, he has a poise about him. And, I was watching some highlights the other day, and I said, wow, I can't believe we got Justin Fields.
Right?
We got Justin Fields. What do you mean?
We. Yeah.
Us.
Right?
Yeah.
It makes you finally proud to be a damn Bears fan for, probably the first time ever.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I wasn't a Bears fan to start, because they were terrible when I first started watching football. And they weren't just terrible, they were terrible. But terrible. So
they were who we thought they were, damn it.
They are who we thought they are. So here's a question for you. So honestly, that's a pretty good storyline. Justin Fields coming back to Ohio for his first career start. NFL couldn't have scripted it any better. But
seriously,
Vegas has the Browns winning by 7.5. That's what they're favored by. How do you think the game plays out? What's your prediction for the final score?
Man, I'm going back and forth with this, man. I'm not gonna lie, going back and forth with it. Barstool Sports. So they recently opened up their own betting sports book, and they're running a promotion this week. All you have to do is drive to Aurora. It's about 20 minutes away from where I work. You have to drive to Aurora, go to the casino there. You don't even need to go inside; just be in their parking lot, and you can make them bet right now. You could bet $100 that the Bears keep it within 7 points, and they would pay out. They would give you $1,985, $1,985. Last time the Bears won a Super Bowl, they're running a promotion. If the Bears keep it within 7, you put $100 on that bet, they'll pay out $1,985. And I'm going back and forth. I'm like, man, I don't know if I should do it or not. And I think I'm not. Well, actually, I know for a fact I'm not going to do it, because I could see it going either way, and $100 is a little too costly for me right now.
I feel you, man. With that bet, though, how I see the game playing out, you just have to, ask yourself, are you comfortable with Roquan Smith versus Nick Chubb? That's the question.
Georgia on Georgia.
Georgia
Dog
on
on
Georgia.
dog.
Dog on dog crowd. Are you
Uh,
comfortable with that matchup with Roquan being able to contain Nick Chubb? And I'm going to tell
right.
you right now, the answer is no. Roquan
Well,
Smith
not
is
only
not
that though.
CJ
Not only
Mosley.
that. I think. Honestly, not even speaking as like a Bears or a Roquan fan. I think I'm a little more concerned about Kareem Hunt and what he offers
How?
to the offensive side of the ball.
Why?
Just with his pass catching ability. All right, you get past Roquan. I'm not going to trust Eddie Jackson or Tashawn Gibson or Alec Ogletree to get this guy down. Like Roquan is the guy that I'm relying on, and he slips up one play that could go for 6 with this defensive team, specifically with these other linebackers, and oh man, your boy Sam Darnold just fumbled the ball. It
Oh,
looks like they recovered it. So I think in this matchup, I'm a little more concerned about Kareem Hunt and his versatility than I am Nick Chubb, and I guess his lack of versatility. But I will say, not having Jarvis Landry, you got Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham. Not having Jarvis Landry there against this weak Bears secondary, and just having to worry about Odell Beckham making his season debut, that makes me feel a little bit better, especially with Baker Mayfield suffering that shoulder injury last week. So how confident is he going to be throwing the football? Is Odell truly healthy? Is he just out there being a decoy, especially now with Jarvis Landry being hurt? So there's a lot of questions to be answered. The tight ends, the tight ends are just as much of a concern for me as well. To go with Kareem Hunt, I mean, I know they haven't had a huge impact on this Browns offense the last couple of years, but now with Jarvis Landry hurt, maybe now Austin Hooper truly earns that big contract that he signed last offseason. David Njoku, a former first-round pick, little bit of a disappointment. At least for me, I thought he would be a borderline superstar in the league when he was drafted. Hasn't really lived up to those expectations, so maybe they start earning their money this week against the Bears.
yeah, I think they'll have the opportunity to, but I don't know. I think the Browns' defense hasn't been as advertised. They've had some struggles communicating in the secondary. That pass rush is obviously legit, but it's gonna be a challenge for Justin Fields in the offensive line.
So let me ask you, because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched a ton of Browns football the first 2 weeks of the season. Obviously, they got Myles Garrett. The big offseason acquisition on that D-line was Jadeveon Clowney. Has he made much of an impact on that D-line? Because I'm not going to lie, I almost forgot he was on their team.
Yeah, he's made an impact. He hasn't been an absolute ghost like Quinnen Williams, so he's come up with some big plays. But,
I hear Quincy Williams has made more of an impact on the Jets.
He has. He had a
and I just learned he was on their team.
Me too. I forgot. I didn't even know he was active. Oh, no, Texans. But, yeah, I didn't know he was active until he made that play, and I was like, hey, tell your brother to do something next. But Jadeveon Clowney, he's made an impact. He hasn't been an absolute ghost out there. The problem is in the secondary, though. Is Greg Newsome, the rookie corner they got. He's a rookie, and so they're just taking time to jail. I think by week 4, they should be good. I think this week that they will kind of get back on track, but ultimately, I don't know. I think here's my bold prediction for the game and for the season. I think the Bears finally get their 4,000-yard passer because I don't think Justin Fields gives that job back to Andy Dalton.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, Matt Nagy was talking to somebody, Mark Sanchez, I think it was, because Mark Sanchez called the game last week, and he sat down with Nagy during a production meeting, and he said, Matt Nagy told me, look, I've seen how this is supposed to work. I've seen the benefit Patrick Mahomes got from sitting back and watching behind Alex Smith. So that's what needs to happen so Justin Fields can be the best quarterback he can be next year. So that's their thought. They're sticking to it. I think it's really just a play for Nagy, and Pace to save their jobs. Because if Justin Fields comes out there and they don't do well this year, they're fired. But
Right.
if they say, we're grooming him, we're making sure that he's able to get out there and perform at the highest level. We had Andy Dalton as our quarterback. Then, they might be able to get another year. But from the sounds of it, like, they'll be back next year, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be a close game. Probably till like third or fourth quarter. I think the Browns might put it away at that point. But I think the Bears will get their 4,000-yard quarterback for the first time ever. So it'll be very, very interesting to watch. I'm going to be tuned in and locked into that game for sure.
I sure hope you're right, man. I mean, to think this franchise never had a 4,000-yard passer or a 30-touchdown passing quarterback. I mean, come on, man. It's 2021. I mean, you got every other franchise has been able to do it. What are the Jets missing? Aren't the Jets missing one of those two, a 4,000-yard passer or a 30-touchdown passer?
No, I think that they got the 4,000-yard one, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know if they got the 30-touchdown one.
Okay.
But, yeah. I'm going to go check.
I mean, you kind of know how it is.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
and
I've seen a lot of bad quarterback play from the New York Jets the last 8-10 years since I've been a fan. So,
and while we're at it with the live analysis, Christian McCaffrey ruled out for the remainder of the game.
No way.
Yep.
What happened?
And there it is on TV. They're showing him in the blue tent right now. He's going back to the locker room. I got an alert on my phone, which is how I found out. Trying to scroll down, but the oil on my face seems to have messed up. There we go.
Oh, no.
Hamstring injury.
Oh, no. Oh, no,
Yep,
no.
Oh, wait, you got him in one of your fantasy teams, don't you?
Yeah, I took him first overall. This isn't good. Oh, no. Looks like I'm losing in fantasy again. Yeah, I can't find it right now. I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. But, yeah, I guess we get to see if Sam Darnold is really a legit quarterback or if it was Christian McCaffrey this whole time. I think that he seems to have a rapport with DJ Moore. So he should be
obviously
okay.
Robbie Anderson. Seemed like one of his go-to guys was the tight end who came over from Arizona. Can't think of his name. Former Division II tight end though. Dan Arnold.
Oh yeah.
And then they got the rookie Terrace Marshall, who I thought would have a little bit more of a quicker start to his NFL career, especially playing in the slot with both Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore being on the outside. But we'll see. It's still early, but still really like that pick. That was probably one of my favorite picks in the NFL draft last year was Terrace Marshall going to the Carolina Panthers in the second round, I believe.
Yeah. He was one of those guys I wanted the Jets to grab because the Jets just need good players. But, I think that the Jets wide receivers are okay. They have Elijah Moore. They have Corey Davis. I think they need one more player that's better than Keelan Cole.
Come on, man. Come on.
He lit it up in OTAs and then just became a ghost in training camp. And somehow he's still the third receiver right now with Jamison Crowder battling his groin injury.
Where the hell has he been?
He got COVID for a while, so he was out. And then he came back and got a groin injury. And what I really think is happening is he has a groin injury, wink, wink. He wants to be traded. And he's like, I'm not going out there.
I think Jamison Crowder and Curtis Samuel are the same people. I've never seen them on the field together.
You know what? Now that you mention it, I think you're right. But we're going to end up with this. I was watching some Baldy breakdowns. Did you see this Baldy breakdowns of the Carolina Panthers defense versus the Saints last week?
I did not.
So the Panthers ran the same blitz 3 times, and it worked all 3 times.
Man.
Yeah, it was some real Madden stuff. Like, they had brought everybody to the line, and then I think it was Jeremy Chin backed out, and they just blitzed to safety. And their
Southern Illinois, stand up.
Their offensive line could not block it at all. They ran it 3 times in a row, and on the 3rd time they ran it, it's when Jameis threw that yellow pick. He just threw it and then got picked off. But
that hurts, man. That hurts. I put $120 on Jameis to throw at least 2 touchdowns that game.
Yeah. That sounds like that hurt. It hurt me hearing you do that.
I mean, I'm that made me seriously contemplate retiring from the sports betting world.
But guess what? Send the facts. I'm back.
That's right. I got the Panthers winning by 4.
Panthers winning by 4. All right. So before we go, I just need quick scores from you. Packers, 49ers. Who wins that game and by how much?
Man, you know what? I think the only way San Francisco wins this game, I know they have a really good record with Jimmy Garoppolo. Only way they win that game is if Trey Lance is inserted at quarterback. I'm going to go Green Bay wins with going against Jimmy G and the 49ers. Green Bay wins. I'll go 31-20. And you know what? 20 even sounds a little too high, but that Green Bay Packers defense is quite concerning. Jared Goff was able to put 17 on them in the first half last week. So, yeah, I'll go 31-20. Green Bay wins.
I got 31-28 Green Bay. My boy Deebo Samuel, leading wide receiver in the league right now. So he's going to eat, and it's at home. But 31-28 Green Bay. Monday night game, we got the Eagles and Cowboys. Who you got winning that one?
I like both teams. Nick Sirianni has kind of surprised me, although it was a little bit of a letdown game last week against the 49ers, but the defense stepped up a little bit in losing fashion, of course. I think the final score of that game was like 17-11 against San Francisco. I think Dallas just has a little bit more talent than Philadelphia does, specifically on the offensive side of the football. I'll go Dallas wins 27-13. I think Philly's offense, I think Jalen Hurts continues to kind of catch the eye, but I think in general, I think specifically their running game, and they spent a second-round pick a few years ago on Miles Sanders.
Yeah, where has he been at? Has he been playing?
Yeah, right. He's been playing, but he's not had a huge impact. So I think that's going to be a big story in this game. I'm going to go Eagles, 27-13. 27. Let's go 27-17.
27-17. If I tell you the spread is -3.5, are you sticking with that? -3.5 Cowboys?
Yeah, I am. I feel pretty good about that one.
I'm going to go Cowboys as well. I'll go 21-14. I think they win by a touchdown.
Okay. So you like the spread as well then. So you're pretty confident in Dallas winning that one.
Yeah, because the Eagles didn't look so good against the 49ers defense.
Right.
Oh, man.
And more so for me, despite that, I think just the fact how Dallas looked really just the first 2 weeks of the season against some, pretty good contenders in Tampa Bay, defending Super Bowl champs, and then the LA Chargers, a lot of people have being a playoff team, possibly even making quite the run in the playoffs. So I think it's been pretty encouraging what we've seen out of Dallas, especially the hot start that Dak Prescott has gotten off to. I don't know if anyone really seen this coming. Big Dak fan, but I totally thought it was going to take a few weeks, maybe even a month or so for him to get rolling. And as we seen last week, a couple of weeks ago, he was ready by week 1.
Yeah. I think Dak comes back out and puts up 350, 400 yards because our boy Zeke Elliott is on a back of a milk carton. We're still trying to find him. But, hey, who's the defensive coordinator for the Texans? Do you know?
I do know.
Do
you know?
It's our boy.
You're damn right.
Lovie Smith.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
They just ran a fantastic defensive play. They brought everybody to the line and showed blitz, right? Cover zero. But the defensive tackle backed out. So when the wide receiver ran the hot route for the slant, the defensive tackle was right there. So Sam Darnold got crushed.
I seen him going to the sideline with his helmet off, looking a little puzzled.
It was a thing of beauty. I'll say that. But all right, everybody, we're going to wrap this podcast up. Thank you for tuning in with us and listening. I'm your host, Tabaria. This is Christian, and we're going to talk to you later. Have a good week. Go Jets.